Yo, HighGuard is so hated that his community might actually need a civil rights movement. After Jeff Keighley cradled the balls and stroked the shaft of this game, there's no choice but to hate it. Everyone hates it, seriously. But it's actually pretty damn fun, but also pretty damn flawed too. All right, so what is HighGuard? HighGuard is a 3v3 and now a 5v5 competitive raid shooter. For some dumbass reason, Jeff Keighley wanted it to close out the Game Awards. That's strike one. Then he doubled down and said he'd await apologies because the game is so sick. This is 2 days before the game even comes out. That's strike two. And then strike three, and the most important thing right here, this is the worst part. They released a game that everyone already hates without playing, but a game you have to learn extensively. You have to learn all the ins and outs of it. That's strike three right there. It's like dating an ugly girl, right? You think to yourself, I don't want to bring her to the cookout for my uncle to make fun of. Hell no. But she could be the sweetest person, but you have to take that time to actually learn her. Now let's go a little bit deeper into the actual gameplay loop of HighGuard. Now the first phase of HighGuard, there's three phases. The first phase is the looting phase, and the looting phase is super boring and super stale. I get why people, when they pop it in, like when they play the game, they're like, yo, this is trash. There's nothing to do. This is a very boring part of the game. And this is a huge reason why I think people wanted like 5v5. Some people were even saying 10v10s. We ignored. They're drooling all over the keyboard. We ignore those people. But the 5v5s, you would think like with the 5v5s, there's way more like action during this phase. And I do agree, but the issue is that this phase is so bad that the 5v5s is more just like a band-aid. It's like a chaotic band-aid. It's like kind of masking the actual problem with the looting phase. This thing is, again, like I said, this thing is horrible. But at the same time, 5v5s is kind of what brought people back into the game. So I get why, like, it's here. But like I said, it's just a lot of chaos, man. Now that brings us to the second phase, and this is where the fun actually happens, This is where, like, you get to experience the fantastic gunplay and the horseplay. And I'm not talking weird fetishes. I'm talking about the mechanics of this game. The actual core of this game. It's really fun. All right, so in this phase, after you're done doing the horrible looting spot, you set up for the sword, and then eventually you fight for the sword. And whoever wins that fight, they get to pick up the sword and then take it to someone's base. Now, between like someone picking up the sword and taking it to someone's base, it can go back and forth. You can kill them and then intercept the sword and then take it back to their base. And there's a nice back and forth going on with that. And the reason why this is so fun, like I said earlier, is because of the gameplay, and it's because of how the mounts, how they flow and how smooth they are. And let me say this, I gotta say this first, that this game feels exactly like Apex. The running is a little bit slower in this game, and of course that's probably because you have the mounts, because mounts weren't in Apex. But it feels like everything else feels exactly like Apex. They even have a lot of the same guns. Like they have the R301, they have the Peacekeeper, Flatline. These are all guns that are in Apex, and now they're in here with a different skin and a different name. But despite that, this game just feels so intense. And when you take the player movement and you take the horse movement and you take the gameplay, it makes for something, in my opinion, very fun, very addicting. Like the gunplay is the crack on the streets, I mean, like that is what it is. The gunplay and the horseplay, that is the crack, the fentanyl on the streets. I need that in my veins, for real. Like there's even actual tech you need to learn. Like when you incorporate the mounting your horse and dismounting your horse and then the running and then the walking and the sliding, it's like, geez, man, it's so fun. And like I said, it's just so rewarding. That's how you win your fights, incorporating all of those things. But again, this is the theme of the video, by the way. You have to learn it. You have to learn it while hating it. There was like hundreds of thousands of people saying, I'm gonna hate this fucking game. And then they have to learn that sweaty shit. It's a recipe for disaster. It really is. But again, very fun game. Seriously, like the gunplay, like inject that. Now, lastly, you have the raid phase, where the team that uses the shield breaker to break into the opposing base has the chance to blow that shit up. The biggest issue with this phase is the lack of defensive things you can do to protect your base. You're given this huge base, but very little ways of defending it. And then you just gotta watch these guys penetrate your shit. Pause. But you do. You have to watch them, and you just kind of feel like a cuck. You feel like Diddy. I don't know if you guys seen the Diddy documentary, but he did a lot of sitting and watching. And I don't want to be Diddy. I want to fight for what is mine. Now, as an attacker on the raid, there's so much more you can do. You can climb up your siege tower, and then you have advantage as a sniper. You can actually pick people off and also like point them out with like your pings, and you can communicate that way. But not only as a sniper, but also as a destructor. Yeah, a destructor. So what I mean by that is everyone can get like a rocket launcher. So you have this rocket launcher, buy missiles, and now you have like a whole bird's eye view of inside your opponent's base. And so you can take out the walls for each bomb. There's an A bomb, a B bomb, and an anchor bomb. You can take out the walls for whichever one you want, and then let your teammates get to those bombs easier from that vantage point that comes with the siege tower. There's a lot with that. Not only that though, and not a lot of people know about this right here, the dome splitter. You find a dome splitter, now you can run around your opponent's whole base and find entry points to get into. So like you can sneak around like behind them and poke them in the butt. It's really cool, and I like that for the attacking side. I just wish we had more of it for the defensive side of the raid. And that's the gameplay loop of HighGuard. And if you don't win in the first round, you just do all of that all over again with better armor and better weapons. Real quick, let me briefly talk on the 5v5s. So everything I explained, that's still in the 5v5s, except it's a lot more hectic and chaotic and honestly annoying, and it's not as tactical, at least to me. But I understand why they had to do it. I understand why people like it. It makes the game feel a lot more alive. Jangle the keys for the babies. Coochie coochie coo. Hello. Hey, look at it here. Hey. All right, let me stop. I'm talking shit, but I understand why people like it. To me, it's like a mode to kind of like turn brain off and just play the game, have fun. I don't mean that as a backhanded compliment. I know it sounds like that, but I play 5v5s for that and just to have fun, and they are still very fun. So in conclusion, very fun game, very flawed in the looting phase, and again, it's a game that you have to learn while you hate it. Like, if you hate this game, I'm just being real with you, you have to learn it, and you might not be willing to do that. But just find a way to, what they should do is just find a way to just force people into gunfights. Like not force them, but skip the loot phase so the new players can play and be like, oh, this game is actually pretty sick. But as far as the gameplay loop goes, again, the loot phase needs some work for sure. But I love it, man. It reminds me of an actual sport, like football almost. I've been becoming a humongous football fan, and this game kind of reminds me of that in a weird way. Maybe that's a whole different video. But very fun. Keep working at it. I think it can survive. Just find a ways for the casuals to actually play the gunplay. Like, have them hop on a horse and shoot shit. Hop on a horse and shoot shit. That's all you need. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope at the very least you don't enjoy it, but it makes you want to discuss and conversate. I think that's what I want. Please talk into the comments and talk to me. Oh, I'm very lonely. Oh God. Anyway, thanks guys. Love y'all. Bye. Whoa, hey, whoa, hey, whoa.